Afternoon, everybody. Yeah, obviously there's not a coach in America that sits down here and says that, they aren't happy with your class, right? But in all seriousness, for the time frame that we've been here with our staff, I just have to, thank those guys for how hard they've worked and how diligently they've worked in the last month to put together this, class here today on the 2nd of February. So, just like everything we've talked about from day one, we want to build inside out and, started, here in Pocatello and landing a big player in Ian Hershey. And then, we branched out throughout the state to land some top-notch players that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But, and then we went into some spots that we felt like we could have some success and into Arizona and got some quality players, we believe, and then dipped into California. And took a few players out of there. So those are the main spots this recruiting cycle. And, we're happy with this class. We believe we've got some good quality players, a mix of young guys and a mix of some mid-year guys that enrolled in January that are already here on campus. And these guys are going to help us. Several of them will help us win games in the fall.
Not only have you guys only been here for a few months, but you guys are also on the road for several weeks going all over Idaho and Arizona and California. Like you just mentioned, how did you manage your time and find the right guide in all those different spots over the last few weeks?
Well, when we got here, it was still dead. The recruiting process was dead. So we spent a lot of time, 10, 12-hour days just looking at film. We already had some ideas when we came in, but so we, sat down and really just formulated a plan and then we kind of acted on it. And so a lot of those days before we could go out were spent, devising where we would go, who would go see them. And then we just kind of put it into an action plan and went out and executed it.
So what was the first day you guys could actually go out and talk to you guys?
Oh man, what was that? I'd have to see the calendar in front of me. So I believe it was the 9th. I think that, no, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
But January.
They all, like right after, in January.
January, okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah. I think it might have been the 9th, somewhere between the 9th and that time frame.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Well, as far as, you guys have a million dudes from Idaho, between Hershey, like you just mentioned, quarterback from Eagle, Freeman over at Rigby. How important was it to you guys to kind of recruit this area, just Idaho in general?
Well, I think, look, if we're going to be good and win here, Idaho State has to be taken seriously in the state, and they have to know that we're going to recruit the state. And I don't think you can have a good college football program wherever you're at if you don't focus on the guys that are right in front of you. You have to build those relationships with these high school coaches in the state of Idaho, know that we're serious about recruiting the kids, and then go live that. And so, that's what we did. Obviously you go down the list. From Brett Spencer, who was a big deal for us. Like that kid he's a football player. We recruited him as a quarterback and he's a dang good quarterback, but he's also a heck of a nickel/safety. He's a winner. That's what I put when I tweeted it out about him. The kid's a winner, comes from a winner family. That was a big one for us. You talk about Taylor Freeman is just a really good wide receiver, makes plays. Just every time you watch pop on the film, he's making plays. Gage Jones is the, Idaho Defensive Player of the Year. Rarely do you come in a month's time and land the, Idaho Defensive Player of the Year. That's a big accomplishment for our guys. And, we've got a lot of other guys. Obviously I mentioned Ian right here in Pocatello. We got into that race, and I tell the guys it was a 400-meter race. We were about 200 meters behind, and we had to do some heavy running. And, it's a testament to our coaching staff and, the Hershey's for giving us the ability to come back in and listening to our pitch, and Ian for trusting in our vision. So, we're extremely happy with the Idaho guys. There's a bunch of them, obviously, as you mentioned, Jack Benson, quarterback that we think, can really come in and upgrade that quarterback room. So, we're really pleased. We've got several other kids from Idaho that are preferred walk-ons, and we're really, really happy about this class.
Idaho kids have to be pretty familiar with the place Idaho State football has been over the last few years. So when you're pitching those kids to come to ISU, what are you telling them just because they know where this program has been so recently?
Well, again, it's why you feel it. You know, these are the days where you really appreciate what you do, because those guys had to trust in our vision. And it's not, you know, what we are right now. And it's just like I tell our players every day, don't see yourself as you are, but see yourself as you can become, and never be satisfied. So, you know, that was our approach. Don't see us for what it has been. See us for what it can become. Understand how we're going to get there. Here's our action plan. Here's our vision. Believe in it, and we can achieve it. And you know, fortunately, these guys did, and here we are.
How much of this last month was picking up on recruiting that the previous staff had done versus recruiting that you had done maybe at your previous stops and then the rest of the staff?
Yeah, really not much. I mean, there's a couple guys, you know, that had been offered to a degree. It was really just a clean slate. Like, we needed to come in here and find out who were in our opinion, the staff that's here, who are the best players that we wanted to recruit. Now, some of the guys, you know, Ian, there's a couple guys on here that had offers previously, but we wanted to make sure, again, that those guys fit what we wanted to do. So it wasn't a whole lot. And we, like I said, we sat down in that week and a half when we all got here as a staff, and we pounded through a ton of film. And the day we could go out was not that 9th, but whatever that Friday was. So like around the 13th or 14th, whatever that Friday was, that's when it opened back up. So about mid-January. That was bothering me. But very little. You know, we needed to create our own path and create our own culture of what we're going to try and do.
And another thing on the local kids, obviously you want them here because what they'll do in the football field for you, but how much does it also need to know that you'll have a little bit of extra maybe investment from the community around, knowing that they grew up watching these kids and now they're playing here?
No question about it. I mean, look, we're all in this together. If people want to see Idaho State football be successful, they have to do their part. Now, listen, we've got the biggest part to do. I understand that. And we've got to win games. At the end of the day, I'll make no bones about that. We've got to go win. And we certainly understand that as a staff, but it's, you know, kind of the chicken, egg, which one came first, you know? So we got to win a few games. We got to get the crowd to come out and support us, to help us become a hostile environment. And then all of a sudden we're working together. So, you know, they have to see the vision, just like it. And, you know, that's what I plan on doing, is getting out and being in the community, doing some fundraisers and things of that nature here over the next 6 weeks. Now that recruiting is done, for the test never done, but for the time being, and sell the folks of Pocatello and Idaho in general on what our vision is.
So man, the way I understand it is that Whitmer is a walk-on, Hunter Killian is as well. From the guys that are committed in this class, like how many are on scholarship and how many are walk-ons?
Oh man, that number I don't have off the top of my head, but you know, like I could tell you this, like, yeah, Whitmer is a preferred walk-on, Hunter Killian are preferred walk-ons, okay? But both of those guys, here's the thing, we're not just handing out lollipops like when you go into the bank, right? These are guys that we anticipate they can help us win football games. So anybody that's on this list, whether they have a scholarship right now or they're a preferred walk-on, we deem them important enough to include them on this. And there's a couple guys that aren't on here that we really like and would be on here. They just were late ads, right? So anybody that we're bringing into this program, there's a belief that they can help us in some facet. You know, you watch Jack's tape. I mean, you know, he plays quarterback. He's an athlete. I don't know if he'll play quarterback here, but, you know, he can help us. And if he wants to, we're going to give him that opportunity. But the way he runs and the things that he could do, he can help us on special teams. He can be a guy that definitely helps us. You know, we went and saw Hunter Killian last week when we did our Pocatello blitz. And he had been, I believe, offered on the previous staff as a preferred walk-on. We watched his tape, talked with his coach, you know, had a chance to say hello and visit with him. That's a kid that, you know, we think can help us. And again, he's right here in our backyard. So we have to seize on that opportunity. And I think, you know, the one thing about this class that you'll look at is these guys that we offered and came in here. We beat people for these guys. All right. Like, you know, when and this is, you know, when I sat down with our kids, and I'm not finished because we had some stuff and we had to take a break, and I wasn't able to finish the whole staff or the whole roster one-on-ones. But when I started looking at our kids, you know, in the one-on-ones and having those meetings with them, I had a sheet that they filled out prior to coming into that meeting. And one of the questions that I asked them is who had recruited them prior to, you know, and then making their decision to come to Idaho State. And it was an interesting list. And, what we have to do in order for us to get better here is we've got to beat people in the big sky for guys to come here to Idaho State. Now, we did that in some guys here in this class. We lost some too, but we've got to obviously win more than we lose. But in order for us to be competitive in the league, we have to be recruiting the same caliber of kids.
The quarterback spot, you guys have what feels like a million quarterbacks. Is that job still Tyler's to lose, or is it more wide open, or how does that go?
Well, I would say this, like I said to everybody in our building on January 9th, which is our team and our coaches, like, it's a new day in ISU football. You guys heard me say that when I got hired. So there are no presumptive starters, this, that, or the other. The guys that are going to play will determine what they do in spring football. Obviously, we know Tyler's a very talented guy that got hurt, right? But we want to upgrade every position on this roster. And so, as I told the guys, like the best guys are going to play. We're here to win games, and so we've made no assumptions, and they're going to have to show us when we get out and start spring football.
You got anything?
I'm good.
Eric, do you have anything?
Yeah, just a couple of quick ones for you, Coach.
Love that tie.
Thank you. Yeah, nice and pink. So first off, just a broad question for you. How would you evaluate your recruiting class, especially given the challenges you have faced as a new staff?
Well, and like I said, early on, like for the group of guys that we put together in the time frame of getting hired, hiring a new staff, and then organizing it and going out and recruiting, I think, Brett Spencer, Gage Jones, and Ian Hershey, exemplify that. And I'm just picking out a few guys. There's a bunch, but, that's the defensive player of the year, in Idaho. I mean, that's a big deal in order, and to be able to get that done in a month. Brett Spencer, again, was another one that, we had offered, and then Idaho came in after we did and offered him, and we had a battle with them. And, obviously to get him was tremendous for us. And then, like I said, with Hershey, I mean, obviously that's a big gift for us. And then you add all these other guys from, Arizona, California. I think the quality of this group for the short time span that we had, I think the staff did a really excellent job. And I really like the mid-year guys that we have here on campus now that we really think can help us. So, obviously the judgment will come when these guys play. I always find it fascinating that we get evaluated on these guys that have never played, Division I college football. So ultimately we'll be judged on how they perform for us on Saturdays. But, off the early assessment, I'm very pleased with what the staff did.
And you guys, we've talked about a little bit, recruited a lot of local players. Do you feel like you're building momentum, not just for this year, but for the coming years by recruiting players throughout the state of Idaho?
Well, it has to be a priority. I said that from day one. And, we tell our kids here every day, actions, not words, and we live by those actions. And we said we were going to recruit Idaho players. And we did that. But it's not just recruiting Idaho players for the sake of recruiting Idaho players. They have to be good enough to help us win. And as I was just saying, every kid that's on this roster in front of me, whether he's a scholarship kid or a preferred walk-on, he has a chance, we believe, to help us get better. And that's obviously the goal.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Good to see you.
You too.
Serious, I really do love that tie.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it.
A lot of kids, a lot of Arizona kids as well. I don't have to, remind you why that's important. But like with you being from there, and Devontae being from Higley, like how much do you think that kind of factored into the guys you have here?
Well, I think when you look at it, myself, obviously my long history there, Devontae, as you mentioned, I mean that's a two-time Gatorade Player of the Year in Arizona. He was he's arguably one of the top 5, top 3 best high school players to ever come out of there. Vince Amy, who coaches our defensive ends, is an Arizona State legend. Played on the 97 Rose Bowl team, played with Jake Plummer, was drafted by the Raiders. Vince is a very well-known commodity in Arizona himself. So having the 3 of us, there's nobody in that state that we don't know and have a relationship with. So obviously that's going to be a place where we think we can get, a handful of kids every year. And so we, obviously we're a little bit late on this run, but we tapped in it and feel like we've got some really quality players. Miles Amy, I think his best goal, which is Vince's son, is way out in front of him. He's a mostly been a baseball player, but he's long, legit 6'2", and he'll be a 230-pound kid that'll run around and be able to rush the passer. And then I think we got an ultimate steal in Sam Benjamin, who was Miles' teammate at Ironwood Ridge before he transferred. And Sam is every bit of 6'4", if not 6'5", 255 right now. He'll be a 275, 280-pound defensive end that's going to cause problems in the Big Sky. So, there's more, but we feel like we did a nice job in Arizona too. I mean, Dason Brooks is a kid that I recruited his brother to Carlos Brooks to Cal, so I know the family. Again, he played running back his whole career, switched over to linebacker this year, was aggressive. His dad played in the NFL. He's a legit 4.5 40 kid that can run. We added some speed with him. So and again, there's a bunch more. I'm not going to go through them all. I got to do that later in a couple hours, but we feel like we did good again in the short time span with the guys in Arizona.
Real quick, going back to Hershey for a second, was that like a no-brainer almost to offer him?
Yeah, I mean, like, the kid is one of the top kickers in the country, and you watch, when he kicks, and obviously, we can get real technical, but we're kicking at some elevation, so the ball flies a little bit better here than it does down in the Bay, right, or other places. But the thing that you look at him and understand that why he's a legitimate kicker is when he kicks those bombs, the 58-yard, he set the state record. You watch the elevation of that ball. He doesn't drive that ball and make it by 2 or 3 yards. Okay. Now, if he did that, you're saying, all right, he's a good kicker. He's not great. When he kicks that thing pops, elevates, and flies well past the uprights. And when it comes off his foot, the great ones, when it comes off their foot, it's different. And when you watch him kick, it's different. And what I love is, obviously I've been coaching specialists a long time. I always told the kids, I recruit football players to be specialists, not specialists to be specialists, because sometimes when you recruit those kids, all they've done is worked with their swing coach, everything has to be, plant foot has to be just right. If it's off just a quarter of an inch, you can't make the kick. I need a football player. Sometimes football players, they got to make plays, right? And that's the reality of it. Like Ian Hershey, he's a football player. He wants the pressure, line him up and let him make the kick. And he's going to make a whole lot of them for us here at Idaho State.
Jerry, anything?
Jerry?
Yeah, Coach. You've recruited. I've got a poor internet connection here, but you've added a lot of young guys who played quarterback. What does your quarterback room look like right now? I know Tyler Vanderwall is back. Have any of the other guys that backed him up walked away?
Lost him there.
What did your quarterback?
Yeah.
With the guys that are returning to you.
Well, okay, so what does the room look like? Obviously, Tyler has the experience. We like some guys in there. Hunter Hayes, I don't name everyone off that we think he has a big upside, but so we recruited guys to upgrade the room. It's not a knock on the guys that are in the room, but we all know in every profession, competition, brings out the best in everybody. And, we really feel like we've added some guys that are going to bring some competition to that room. Really like what Tyler and Hunter and the group of guys that are there right now have done work-wise here in the off season. But, again, we are trying to get better every single day here. And so it starts with that room first and foremost, and we think we've done that.
Anything else, guys?
Now that you've got your recruiting and signing day behind you, basically, do you have plans to add any more kids down the road? And as the coaching staff, what is your schedule like from here until spring ball?
Okay, great questions. You know what? We do have a few scholarships available left. We're always we're in the business of looking for players every day. So we will add a few more, whether it's in a week or we wait until we go out in May and see, where guys land, some of the junior college guys. We're going to add 4 or 5 more guys to this roster that can help us win in the fall. I promise you that. So we're not done, but we're kind of just, cruising right now and we're just looking to see, who's still out there that we think can help us win. That'd be the first thing. And then we'll come in tomorrow and we'll have a couple hours of worth of work. And then I'm going to let these guys go on a vacation and go get their families. You know, we've been out here living together, you know, and spending a lot of quality time together as a staff. Some of these guys are going to go get their families and move back here. So they're going to get a little over a week to do that and get relocated out here. Some of our staff has already done that, but we're gonna take a break and let everybody kind of get situated, figure out where they're living if they haven't done that yet. And then we'll get back to work, not next week, but the following week. And then we'll be in here, you know, now it's football time. You know, we'll be working with our student athletes. You know, our Fridays are going to be big competition Fridays, watching our guys compete and finding out who really likes to compete, 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, really looking for guys to elevate their game from a competitive standpoint. And you know, then it's time for the coaches to, you know, get to work on what we want to do from a schematic standpoint, putting that on paper and developing, you know, marrying the terminology between the offense and defense and just getting ready for spring football.
Okay.
With the guys that you might.
Well, congratulations on getting this done, Coach. Looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yes, I am too. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
With the guys you might be looking to add in the next week or so, do you have any like positions in mind for those, or is it just?
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily in a week or so.
Well,
It could
yeah,
be
whatever.
up to 3 months, you
Sure.
know, so it's between now and, you know, when we find the right guys. I mean, I think, you know, we've got a couple spots. We would like to add a couple of O linemen for sure. That's something of a priority for us. And then from there, I think, you know, what we would call our field backer, you know, whatever you want, joker, Bengal, whatever you want to call him, but a dynamic hybrid linebacker safety type player. And then thirdly, we'd probably looking for maybe one more defensive lineman, whether an edge rush guy or interior, probably best available.